The concept of peaceful coexistence is without a doubt one of Islam's most important principles. However, translating this principle into actionable policies, for example in Malaysia, necessitates a thorough understanding of the realities and complexities on the ground. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh and hi. The Quran is replete with verses encouraging peaceful coexistence or at-ta'ayush among diverse communities. In this regard, diversity encompasses religion, ethnic, gender, and even majority-minority relations. Surah Al-Anbiya, for instance, suggests that Islam appeals to universality concerning its Islamic message and that it applies to all of humanity. Surah Al-Hujurat, God declared that all humans are equal regardless of gender, ethnicity or tribes, and that only piety can elevate their status in the eyes of God. In Surah Al-Ma'idah, the Quran even went to such an extent to claim that diversity is not a coincidence but a deliberate creation, in part to encourage healthy competitions and interactions. There is no doubt that the concept of peaceful coexistence is one of the most essential principles in Islamic teachings and continues to be discussed by Islamic scholars all over the world. For instance, Prof. Dr. Yusuf Al-Qaradawi, in his work Ad-Din wal-Siyasah, has famously introduced the concept of Ukhuwatul Muwatinun, or brotherhood among citizens, which then popularized the term Muwatinun, or citizenship, as an alternative to the classical fiqh term dhimmi. Taha Jabi Alwani, Salim Al-Awa, Jamal Al-Banna, and Muhammad Hashim Kamali, among others, have concurred with this position. Nonetheless, translating these Islamic principles of peaceful coexistence necessitates an understanding of the society's reality, complexity, and intricacies, and should not ignore the realities on the ground. In Malaysia, issues of identity, politics, and religion has been recurring themes since the inception of Malaysia as a country. I will lay the groundwork for understanding Malaysian politics. There are three elements in this framework, and their interactions and interrelationships are critical in determining the effectiveness of policies promoting peaceful coexistence. The three elements or dimensions are politics, law, and religion. So let me start with politics. The politics of identity inherited since the colonial era deeply affected how the constitution was drafted. The political context during the pre-independence era and the consensus reached by representatives of the three major ethnic groups resulted in the inclusion of the provisions on Islam, anti-propagation, Article 11, Clause 4, Malay and Bumiputra special rights, Article 153. Consequently, these provisions remain important elements in Malaysian society. On the flip side, these enshrined constitutional provisions continue to sustain, if not reinforce, the relevance of identity in Malaysian politics. The second element, law, constitutional provisions and their subsidiary legislation affect how religions, both Islam and non-Islamic faiths, are defined and how they can be practiced. The present relegation of the role of Islam to matters of family laws and Malay customs and its subsumption under state jurisdictions has produced a particular form of Islamic bureaucracy sometimes described as colonial modern. Such a bureaucracy has a distinctive impact on religious administration and enforcement, which does not necessarily see eye to eye with Islam from a scholarly perspective. The last element, religion, in a political context where identity forms the basis of contestation, Islamic discourse in Malaysia is often dragged into issues involving inter-ethnic or religious relations. The restraining and remolding of Islam in its current socio-political framework gave rise to a situation where identity politics played a major influence in formulating religious ijtihad. These religious positions, such as emphasizing the irreconcilability of religions, influence Malaysians' political sentiments, which in turn affect politicians' political will to initiate the necessary law reforms and amendments. This is especially true in cases where Muslim NGOs and pressure groups have taken a strong stance. On the other hand, increasing Islamization in politics has resulted in non-Muslims reheightening and reasserting their rights in response. Finally, any policies designed to address social or political issues, particularly those related to unity, must always be aware of this implicit interconnectivity and interrelationships. Fixating on one aspect while ignoring others will lead to inefficiency or worse, exacerbate the problem.